Reverend Will, the senior minister at First Christian Church in Fulton, Missouri, coming to you live for our midweek devotion. Each week, about this time of the day on Wednesdays, we stop what we're doing and offer this week's devotion. I email it out on Mondays, so you get sort of the video version of it. This week's centers kind of around those things that tug at our heartstrings. Because this past week, last week, leaders of the planning team at the church led the board through a fun exercise. They were put into groups, and each person was asked to name their favorite hymn or sort of their church song. They were only allowed one, but like I said, it could be interpreted broadly. The exercise said from Bach to the Beatles, and even more recent, it didn't matter. One person chose CM. It didn't have to be a golden oldie. But more than I like the music or I like the words, they were asked to explain what it was about the music or the words that made that hymn, that song so special. What does it make you feel? What images does it bring up? Are there any memories tied to it? What do the words evoke in you? And now the answers varied from when they were written to the style of music. I heard some people playing "Leaning on the Everlasting Arms" by Alan Jackson. Someone pulled up a song by the musical artist Sia. I know another lifted up the Hallelujah chorus from Handel's Messiah, and no, someone said, "Joyful, joyful, we adore thee." A youth picked, "They'll know we are Christians by our love." I didn't participate this time, but if you're wondering, mine is "Come Thou Fount." And many of the explanations revolved around themes of comfort and peace, whether for us or for others. Jesus as someone to depend on. Christians who by the Spirit work together to love and serve the world. God who does not abandon us when we wander. Jesus who reigns above all the worldly powers. These ideas and beliefs about God, humanity, are in the church are sort of latent. We don't really think about them unless pushed to do so. They just sort of operate in the background. People had a hard time saying why. These beliefs hide beneath the surface of our faith only to appear when we need them. They operate in the background, helping us cope with the everyday life. Even obscure songs that seem a bit more highbrow than the golden oldies of the Old Rugged Cross do this. And I'm not talking about classical music or the much maligned "Though I Love It" jazz. I'm talking about the old church hymn, Paul. That's right, Paul of the Bible wrote in his letter to the Colossians. There in the first chapter of the book, the Colossians, Paul recites a hymn shared by the early church. They got together and sang, and singing is how we learn the faith in some ways, and they did the same. And so Paul shares with them, whether they knew it or not, a hymn. And it's full of cosmic images of Christ. That he is the sort of the visible image of the unseen God, that through Jesus everything was created, that he holds all creation together yet still, and that Jesus is first in all things. These are pretty out there ideas that might not seem to connect with our everyday lives. Though I'm sure you're like me and you have felt times when you needed someone else to hold your life together because you couldn't. It's an impressive thought exercise to undertake when you're looking at things like, I don't know, the deep space photos that emerged from NASA last week. Weren't those amazing? But they aren't just beautiful. They reveal, those photos, the remarkable imagination of Jesus. The heavens proclaim the glory of God indeed. But that's not necessarily comfort. The comfort that Paul talks about comes from the last line of that early church hymn, where he says, God reconciled all things to himself through him, whether things on earth or in the heavens. He brought peace through the blood of his cross, Jesus. The same cosmic Christ, the one who holds the cosmos together, is the one who redeems it all, including you. The one who formed the Pleiades went to the cross so that you would be holy and faultless and without blame. There is comfort here, gospel comfort here that touches our lives. When God looks at me, God doesn't see a 33-year-old man who is more out of shape than he wants to be, prone to fits of melancholy, dependent on external vindication, and left to his own devices in need of some serious prodding to help and serve other people. When God looks at me, when God looks at you too, God sees Jesus, his love, his mercy, his grace. He looks at us as holy and faultless and without blame, the same things that we would use to describe Jesus. Now, it might not make me want to swing like from a chandelier like Sia, but I can't help be comforted by this hymn. The same one who made the stars saved you and saved me. Thanks for joining me for this midweek devotion. If you like what you heard, please like and share it with someone who you think needs to hear this good news. And you're invited to join us for worship this Sunday morning. It's going to actually be a pretty special Sunday. We're going to be celebrating Christmas in July, singing the favorite carols and hearing the Christmas story. And I'm even going to preach a little bit about how Christ doesn't really just stay in the manger. Good time to talk about that in the middle of July when it's supposed to be 100 degrees. We hope that you'll join us. You can join us in person or online at 10:30. But if not, our benediction's the same as always. God be with you till we meet again.